Hello. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. For the first one, got some pretty cool tunes coming up. We're going to hear music by Flying Fortress, On the Verge, Antioch, Protocult, and maybe some more if we have some time, but we'll see. Also, I'm going to have Patrick Vinson from Berning Media on. We're going to be talking a little bit about some comparison between pot laws and current state of the pot laws in Illinois versus Ontario, and just kind of talk a little bit about the new legislation that's been proposed by the Liberal government here in Canada. That's pretty much the gist of this show. Like I said, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to have more guests on the show later on as we go, and probably going to maybe change things up a little bit with the format as we go, but this is it for now. Hope you guys enjoy. Please let me know if you think it sucks. Please just tell me in the comments, and I'll stop doing all this shit altogether. If you like it, let me know as well. First, to start off, we're going to hear some Flying Fortress. These guys are out of Ottawa. They are awesome. I've seen them live. I've got a copy of their vinyl Dirty Rain. Unfortunately, I believe it's sold out. It was limited to 200 copies, if I'm not mistaken. I have one, and you do not, and that sucks for you. However, you can still download the digital copy of their album off of their Bandcamp. Like I said, just go to Bandcamp and search for Flying Fortress. You'll see them there. They're from Ottawa, Ontario, and they are quite awesome. This, again, is Steel Sustain off of their album Dirty Rain. Enjoy. So I'm here with Patrick Vinson. He's a founder of Berning Media down in Illinois, and a good friend of mine. Yeah. So what's going on, Pat?
How you doing, Adam? Not much over here. Just enjoying a good early morning smoke session. How
Nice.
about yourself there, buddy?
Same actually. Yeah.
Fantastic way to start off the day.
Absolutely. I think I was telling you a few minutes ago before on air there that I got this stuff called Bruce Lee. So it's been and I got it because like I said assuming it's gonna kick my ass and so far so good. Bruce Lee's got punch, I must say. But
The Bruce Lee is taking some hits.
it is Dragon
Like,
Punch.
yeah, I've got to see about that stuff.
It's good. Get it from
Yeah, I was gonna say,
local dispensary up here has it pretty often, so I get my hands on it once in a while.
yeah, there you go. That's at least you can get to the dispensary up there. Around here, we what in Illinois we got medical legalized, but it was a pain to get the medical cards put out to people. We got some really strict rules around the symptoms you need to get our Emerald card here, and it was just kind of ridiculous because the patients were getting the cards, but they weren't able to find any dispensaries. They were really slacking on approving the dispensaries.
Sure. Well, you guys are kind of like,
Yeah,
I
not
guess, that sounds like where Canada was, like, years ago, like 10 years ago or so, when that's basically what it was. I mean, like, you can get it if you're lucky, and, you've got to go through a really extreme process. And
hmm
then when you do get it, you have to, I mean, you're stuck to find these licensed producers that, in some cases, it's just really shitty bud. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's yeah. No, what California is, I forget the name of the bill, but it was a Monsanto-backed bill, and that's the thing that I'm worried about popping up. We don't want big marijuana to be a thing. We don't need big corporations involved in any of that.
sure.
That's a big thing that we got to make sure we fight against that, because that bill, everyone was supporting it because they saw legalized marijuana, but they didn't look into the backgrounds of it. So that was a big issue there, and a lot of people weren't happy with it.
That's a good point, actually, because I mean that's where we're at right now. Is that the liberal government's sort of waving it in everybody's face that yes, we're going to legalize this, and they're also using
hmm
they're using the front of it's to prevent kids from getting it, and that they feel that the whole prohibition thing was
Yeah,
was the wrong approach to go about keeping it out of the hands of criminals and kids alike, and so they're going to try this non-prohibition approach, but and that's where we're at. Dispensaries are getting shut down, and we kind of see that it's sort of leaning toward. Um, uh, it seems like it's probably going to end up in the hands of probably a few people at the end, and they want the new proposal as well. They want to keep it to licensed producers, and I mean, I think they should just go free market, man. I mean, you let new businesses prosper. Like you're gonna get
absolutely.
a few more millionaires pop up.
Yeah,
Let them pop up.
like what right now alone in the U.S. I don't know if this is including Canada. Probably not. I'm going with the U.S. right here. I know marijuana's become $1 billion fucking industry within the few states that have already legalized recreational and marijuana.
Totally.
So medically, we have over 25 states that have legalized. So if you think about that, half of our country is already saying, we'll legalize it because it's ridiculous to be arresting people for a plant. It's just we've seen the prisons get overcrowded, so it's an issue.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the ignorance factor of the money. It's like, okay, you know what? Like a lot of things, everything comes down to money nowadays. So you want to look at the money factor. I think
Yep.
I don't know what the most recent data is, but I know that I think it was in December-ish. A report came out. Well, a few reports came out, but basically Colorado had reported that in August alone, that was their highest month in that report. In
Yeah.
tax revenue alone, I mean, they made sales up to upwards of like a billion plus, but the tax revenue alone was
Ooh.
126 million for Colorado, and I believe that they charge 10% on pot. I could be mistaken. I think their sales tax is much lower. I think it's like something like 2%, two and change.
Yeah.
But I know that their tax on pot was upwards of around 10%, at least at that point, and they made 126 million here in Ontario. Well, a lot of places in Canada, but in Ontario specifically, this is where I'm from, so I speak from experience here. We pay 13%. So right then and there, you are gonna. I mean, obviously, it's all in relation to what's it being sold for and whatnot. But I mean, 126 million in tax revenue. So you figure you times that by 12. That's give or take around 1.4, 1.5 billion a year in tax revenue alone. That's not the sales.
Yeah.
That's tax revenue.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, and you can put that wherever you need to put that, right?
Yeah.
Schools,
No, and what for
infrastructure.
Illinois, it was estimated like tax revenue for us would be, I think it was 700 million just within the first year of legalization. Right now, our debt for Illinois is around 150 billion dollars. So that would be a big boost to help out our debt that we have here.
Sure.
But Illinois has got a very corrupt past with governors and other politicians.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, they go back way back with the whole alcohol prohibition thing as well.
Prohibition and everything. Like they were used. The Chicago Police Department, hell, they were used back during the Industrial Revolution and everything to break up the protests for workers' rights and everything. They were sent around the country to break up protests as early as the 30s and everything.
Sure.
So if you look at that, it's just they've got a very bad tint on Chicago. Doesn't help the police, and it sure as hell doesn't help our state.
Yeah, sure. And like I get too that like the cops are up, they have to like for us up here anyway, they have to uphold the law while it's still the law until they changes.
Yeah.
Like like basically they're saying liberal government's saying this isn't a free for all. We have to respect the laws that are in place. Okay, sure, but does it really make sense to be continue dumping millions into courts, clogging up courts?
Yeah.
Even down there in your case, I mean, they really should just let the states decide, which which is pretty much what it is. I mean, I know that's how it works.
Yeah.
But when you have sessions,
that's how it's supposed to work.
Yes, exactly.
It's supposed to work that way, but people don't understand that enough. So the government here gets away with just, everything it does.
Yeah, and it really needs to. Well, they play the game too, right? It's like, oh, we're going to cut funding if you don't, like the feds, the federal government's. They're threatening to cut funding on certain things if they don't appease to certain agendas, and they're playing the stupid game that they always play, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, it really certain things should be regulated a lot. Like I think that I mean, obviously, having some healthcare is nice, things like that or whatever. I mean, I know we have completely different situations in that regard, Canada, USA, but there are certain things that government should regulate and should spend our tax money on. There's certain things that I think, like marijuana, that need to be just free market, just open it up. You know what? It's going to be a thriving industry. Like the figure that you gave on Illinois with 700 million. I mean, that's a great figure. I honestly, personally believe that that's extremely conservative. Whoever came up with that figure, it's just like what they're doing in Canada. Like they're undershooting it. Like they're saying, okay, we're going to make so many $1 million, so many $100 million a year in tax revenue. I don't think they're really looking at what some of the states that are out there are doing, like Colorado, who, like I said, I mean, these guys are bringing in over $1 billion a year in tax revenue. So I think the projections being made by a lot of the states that are debating legalization, I think they're they're undershooting all of their estimates. I mean, if you just look at the numbers, it is $1 billion business across the board.
Absolutely.
So I say open it up, open up the market, let people sell whatever. I mean, if they're going to sell edibles and food, sure, you're going to fall under food handling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
The food handling charges and everything.
They're there for a reason, right? I want to make sure people handling my food are handling with clean hands and things like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. When I worked in the kitchen here, we used to, a few years back before this law that we have, you only needed one person in the kitchen to have a sanitation license. Now everyone here that works in the kitchen needs to have one, and that's just in Illinois.
Yeah.
So that's it. So
And that's a good example of the kinds of regulations that should be in place, right? Like you have a dispensary, or
yeah,
you have licensed producers, or you have, let's say you open up the market and you have people that are growing it, people that are selling it, producing all kinds of stuff, from
yeah,
capsules to different strands to just any kind of thing you can think of to consume pot.
yeah.
So
Plenty of
like basically you need to have regulations in terms of cleanliness, and but it should be, you should have a board, like, and I think that's what they already have that in place here. Like they have the growers um uh organization here in Canada, where they should have a group of people that can govern over regulations, things like health and safety,
yes,
and things like making sure that the age limits are being properly enforced. So you need
yeah,
those kind of regulations. But in terms the government controlling the sale of it, and how much can be produced and how much can be purchased, I just see nothing but bad coming out of that. And I also see them completely strangling what could be a thriving business, and they're kind of putting a cap on it.
yeah. That's true too. Well, what Illinois, we right now, they also recently put in a recreational bill
Hmm.
for legalization here. So and that's making its rounds with a lot of popular politicians in our area.
Nice.
But what it lets you have 6 plants at a time, and like 14 ounces is what they're sticking to as the limit.
Oh, that's a lot better than what we're getting.
Yeah,
That's
I was
great.
gonna say I don't know how it is up by you, but that's what the Illinois law is looking like so far.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the difference too. When you guys will open up a market, it will be, I think, much less regulated than anything that will ever open up here in terms of
Mhm.
market wise, right? Everything. I mean, we're a totally different approach. It's I'm not saying it's bad in a lot of cases, but I mean, it's the whole like partial socialism versus capitalism thing. I
Yeah.
mean, they each have their own ups and their own downs. So I just think that I think that the U.S. model, what the states have been doing, is a much better approach in terms of just let the market do its thing. Because what's going to happen is, if you open up the market, you're going to get cheaper prices, you're going to get better availability, you're going to get better quality. And like right now, you currently up here, I know it's kind of like the wild west. I mean, you do have laws in place, but there's dispensaries operating everywhere, and they're right out in the open. I mean, like I watched a cop literally walk
Yeah.
right past a dispensary the other day, and it's just they're there.
Just
And
yeah.
so, but there are some places that are charging based on quality. So let's say if you want to get, let's just pretend if you're an actual medical patient, you're not smoking it recreationally, but you go to a dispensary that you like, or your local dispensary that you have to walk to.
Yeah.
So you walk over there, and then they have a quality that you need, a really high potency. Let's say you're taking some other drugs that may affect marijuana, so you have to get a high potency. So now to get that highest potency at these certain places, you have to pay, let's say, $30 a gram or $20 a gram, and in order to buy that, you have to buy a minimum of 2 or 3 grams. This is the kind of
Oh.
bullshit that can happen with too much
Yeah.
regulation. If the government has too much control over the sales, they can basically say, okay, well, if you want to get a certain quality, you're going to have to pay a certain. It's just the same as big pharma. I mean, if you want to get the name brand drugs, you're going to pay $60 for the prescription versus $30 for a generic brand of the exact same stuff that will do the exact same effect. So that's where I see regulation being a real bad thing. Whereas if it was a free market, basically that doesn't last long. Like, you have a guy down the street who's charging the same price for the best quality, and you can buy it in any quantity you can afford. Once word spreads that guy's doing that, well, the guy who's charging minimum and $30 a gram, he's going to go out of business pretty quick, and that's how the market works. So those kind of
Yep.
regulations, those shitty regulations that mess with people and that actually are an inconvenience to the consumer or patients, though those businesses will get pushed out in a free market, and they won't be able to do that. They're going to have to adjust to the pricing, or they will go out of business. So whereas with the government regulation, it's going to be completely controlled, and we may face possible control over how much we can buy, the quality of what we can buy, and that's just not how it should be done, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I agree. Absolutely agree right there. That all makes, we can't let it get overregulated. I can't remember what the tax was going to be here either for it. There was going to be a set tax, but I can't remember that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'll try and search it up on the computer, but
and I'm all for taxing it too. Like, and I think you are. I think everybody's kind of on the same page about that. It's like, hey, you know what? Sure, tax it. Give it. Give us the legislation, and you can have the tax. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But like up here, what they're doing, like I said, they've kind of opened up a few more can of worms on the whole discussion, and I think that they're pushed in a corner. I don't know if they really wanted to legalize it up here, but now they're sort of backed in a corner where they're gonna really look like shit if they don't, and they already do, especially with all the dispensaries being shut down. But I mean, one thing that they want to do is they want to make harsher DUI laws, which, I mean, hey, I don't think anybody really opposes that. You shouldn't drink, and you shouldn't operate a vehicle under the influence of anything. I mean, where they kind of overstep the boundary is where they say that they can issue a breathalyzer, like a roadside sobriety test, at any given time without any, like, they can just pull you over and just say, hey, come out and do a test. That's a little strange. I mean, I'm all for, if you catch somebody, okay, harsher crimes, sure, stop DUIs. I'm all for that. But like I said, I just think that the whole being able to card people or being able to breathalyzer somebody, or I don't like it. I just see it as, just more police freedom, taking not even privacy. It's just like, come on, man, like. I'm driving home. Yeah, maybe I'm tired, and now I got to do a breathalyzer.
Yeah,
or a spit test.
I don't agree with that.
It's just a little too control-y.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, all right, I found it. So about more of that Illinois law that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Hold up, if this ad will go away. It's on Chicago Tribune. It had it. I knew I bookmarked an article somewhere.
Nice.
All right. So it says the measure would also allow residents to possess up to 28 grams of pot, or about an ounce, and to grow up to 5 plants. Man, Chicago Tribune's got ads up the wazoo.
Gotta keep alive. Gotta pay those bills.
I know. Like, Jesus, man.
God knows people aren't buying their papers anymore, I guess, right?
Yeah, I know we aren't. Shit. We don't get them. It's all online, man.
That's right.
Be honest.
I will say, though, you know what? I like the Chicago Tribune, but yeah, go ahead.
No, it's all good. Keep going. I gotta refresh this page.
Yeah, no, they're good. They've had some good stuff printed, I must say. Which is kind of odd because, I mean, I'm in Ontario, but I'm a total news buff, so I mean, I'm always searching up whatever. And anyway, I like the reporting at times. I mean, you can't really trust any of them, really, but sometimes each of them will come out with a little grain of truth once in a while. That's really worth
yeah,
mentioning.
no, Chicago Tribune's got some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I found it. There we go. Okay, let's try to do this. The bills proposed. Oh man. There we go. The bills proposed taxing marijuana at a rate of $50 per ounce wholesale, plus the state standard 6.25% sales tax. Based on sales of recreational marijuana in Colorado, the Marijuana Policy Project, a national advocacy group, estimates sales in Illinois could generate about $350 million to $700 million per year.
Oh, that's madly conservative. yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, no, I agree.
in a state the size of Illinois,
Yeah,
you know what? Every single person that I know from Illinois smokes pot.
I, yeah, I was gonna say I know a lot of people here that would be buying, so I definitely agree that
Yeah.
this estimation is a load of bull.
Yeah, I mean
It's a
it's
full load.
great. It's great that they're working on it, but you know.
Yeah, yeah, it is. That I don't know about. I can't stand Ron. Like our governor is not the man. It's a Republican in a blue state,
Yeah,
and he sucks at what he's doing.
yeah, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, those guys don't really like the whole idea of pot, I don't think, anyway.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
really in their
another thing. It's
position.
like maybe that's why this number won't work for him. It won't be enough money to legalize.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Because I
He,
mean, exactly. I
he's,
mean, the numbers are there. I mean, like Colorado and stuff, and I mean, like I said,
yeah,
upwards in the billions. So I mean,
we know it's a fucking profitable business.
yeah,
It's there.
yeah,
The
absolutely.
facts are there. No alternative facts. Nuh-uh, not today.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Not today.
And I think that's what it is that everybody's got interests, right? At the end of the day, these politicians do have interests, and I mean, if that's not obvious to anybody by now, then I don't know where you've been. But it's pretty much what it is that they have to protect certain interests of certain people, like for instance, the big
Yep.
pharma companies. Um, it's a whole game, right? So there's obviously going to be people lobbying against this. Even the alcohol, like we saw, there's been studies there where in Colorado there was almost a little bit of a give or take sort of reaction in terms of alcohol versus pot, whereas alcohol didn't take a huge hit, but it did take a slight hit because now that there was people that were now spending their money on pot as opposed to spending
Mhm.
the money on alcohol. So they did kind of take away from some sales, and I think that the powers that be, or on the liquor side, which in a lot of cases, governments. I know in Illinois' case for sure, the government's always had their hand in, at least on the local level, the government has always had their hand in the liquor business.
Oh yeah.
So, and it's the same as up here. I mean, it's no different. I mean, Ontario controls the liquor business up here as opposed to some other provinces like Newfoundland, where they have deregulated liquor. I mean, you could go into, I remember, I'm from Newfoundland. I would go into a restaurant there, really awesome restaurant, and I would order food. I could get a pack of smokes. I could get a case
Oh,
of beer, all in the same place. That was
oh no,
awesome. I
yeah,
mean,
that sounds like a sweet deal
that's
right
a
there.
Friday night right there in one shot. You
You
know what I
can't go.
mean?
See, you couldn't do that in Illinois because we banned smoking inside of what it was hotels and restaurants.
Oh yeah.
So you can't sell any tobacco products. Like there's a hookah
Oh.
lounge in my area where they can't sell food or drinks. But if you order in Domino's or some other like say delivery place to bring the food there, they'll cover it.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, there's some businesses that have found their way around it, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just a fun little thing I thought I'd throw in there since we were talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're pretty much the same up here. Toronto and well, I got notifications here. Toronto and Ontario is
Ah,
pretty much the same with the smoking stuff. They've, I mean, they're crunching down on it. And hey, you know what? I'm a smoker. I'm trying the whole vape thing now, but I mean, at the end of the day, I don't like blowing it in people's face and stuff. I think it's rude, and I don't like. I mean, I'm okay with going outside to kind of
yeah,
keep it away from people, but. I kind of feel a little attacked when they're like, you can't smoke it in public areas, you can't smoke it in your car, you can't smoke it here, you can't smoke.
yeah.
It's like, well,
No,
then where am I gonna?
where are you allowed to smoke? Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
you
gonna
know.
say, I see no problem with it as long as you're like not blowing it straight in my face. I
Yeah.
could give two shits what someone's doing out in public if it's not affecting me.
Yeah. The problem is that you do get the shitheads out there who just don't give a
Yeah,
goddamn, and so they kind of ruin it for everybody. So the more responsible folk that do kind of take care and are a little more considerate have to basically suffer for the shitheads, and that's how the world works, unfortunately. But we're gonna take just gonna take a quick break here, listen to some tunes. This tune is gonna be this one's by On the Verge from Toronto. The song's called "Lost My Soul." Awesome band. I've seen them live a couple of times. Check them out. They're playing all the time. Yeah, and we'll be right back. All right, so I'm back here with Patrick Vinson from Berning Media. So Pat, you're doing podcasts now. Where can we hear you? Where can we find Berning Media?
You can find them. We post them onto our YouTube account, which is under Berning Media. And then you can also find it on our new SoundCloud account, Berning Media, as well. We've got our new podcast up there. We got a 420 edition where we talked about the war on terror. We got another one talking about the war on drugs. Yes. I'm sorry, flip-flop those.
Yeah, 420, the war on drugs. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and you can download all of our podcasts on the SoundCloud as well. So make sure to check those out if you can.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, it was really awesome having you, man. Like always, pleasure to talk to you. We're good buds, so keep in touch, and I want to have you back on the show ASAP, man.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to have you on. Hell, I'd love to have you on our show, too.
Sweet. Well, definitely make that
we'll try
happen.
To work something out.
For sure. Okay, bud. Well, we're gonna take another quick musical break here. This one's actually by a band from Windsor, a little closer to the border, a little closer to you, Pat. They're called Antioch.
Oh.
Yeah, these guys are total throwback to like Judas Priest days. In fact, this song will make you feel like you're listening to something from the 80s or late 70s for sure.
I'm gonna have to check this out.
Yes, it's great. It's from an upcoming album that they're Antioch 3. I just want to also point out that if you go to this band's Bandcamp page, Antioch on Bandcamp, the mixing mastering guy, he's in the credits there with his MySpace page, which is just awesome. So
that's awesome.
It's a throwback band, and their mixing guy has a MySpace page still. That's like, I mean that's
legend.
That's legendary. That's legendary.
Legendary.
So
make MySpace great again.
That's right. Make MySpace great again. So here's Antioch, Return of the Warlock. Pat, nice having you. Take it easy, brother.
You too, man.
Cheers.
You fool!
Hi, welcome back. Lastly, I just kind of want to talk about something that it's pretty funny. And as a guy who, I mean, I write music, as someone who creates any kind of creative work, I think we can all appreciate this. But basically, there's a statue down on Wall Street in New York. It's called Charging Bull, and it was erected there basically as sort of a symbol to acknowledge, I guess, bull markets. It's like you bull through. When the market collapses, they kind of bull through it. You keep it alive, right? You kind of keep going, and it was sort of to put there to show the determination of the American. Capitalistic ambition, and it has a lot of meaning for the people on Wall Street. Say what you want about Wall Street and the people thereof, but at the end of the day, this artist, whose name is Arturo Di Modica, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the guy who sculpted this bronze statue, and it holds a really significant meaning, a positive meaning, if you will. And since there has been another statue erected in front of it called Fearless Girl. Fearless Girl was to basically symbolize that women could stand up to the male dominant monopoly of employment on Wall Street, which is actually kind of false. I mean, I'm not going to get into too much debates on that. I really don't want to, or really don't want to open up that can of worms right now at all. But basically, what I will say is that it is bullshit that he's having now to defend himself because he has called bullshit on the Fearless Girl statue, saying that he's all for the Fearless Girl statue. He can see the meaning of it. He understands the meaning of it. He's, as an artist, he respects it. But the fact that it was placed in front of his art, and now his art has become a negative figure, it's showing that the girl is now standing up to the bull. The bull being symbolized as Wall Street, the fearless girl being symbolized as, like I said, a female standing up to, I guess, what people are saying. I don't hold any sentiment. I have no political attachment to any of this stuff. I'm just kind of calling bullshit. I feel bad for the poor guy because this guy's 76 years old. He, like I said, he had nothing but positive feelings when making this art. And it's been sort of made to his message has been completely changed. So, I mean, as a musician, I feel like if I had a song that had a particular message, and then somebody took that message and then made it political in a completely different context, and actually, in effect, making my song now negative, I would be a little upset about that. I would be pissed. And in fact, people get sued over that in the music industry, and it creates quite a lot of buzz when politicians or people use music politically and they're not allowed. So I think it's the same situation, quite frankly. I think that the Fearless Girl deserves to be there, but just not basically, not there to make his art look like shit. I think that in itself is bullshit. No pun intended. And like he said, have the Fearless Girl statue, because it does have meaning, it does have value, and there is a meaning to it, so have it, but don't use it to make a political statement against another artist's piece that was actually meant to make a positive statement. That's not fair, and it's bullshit, and it's not fair that now he's being called a bigot and a xenophobe and a sexist, and saying, he's having to be on the defense now, basically because of this, even including the mayor of New York, who has also tweeted about this, basically telling the artist that he should be ashamed. I don't know the exact wording that he used. I'm not going to refer to it right now. It's bullshit. It's hilarious, quite frankly, but it's all just political jargon. It's political bullshit, and just a complete example of the bullshit that is going on recently when it comes to people just not looking into reason or facts at all, and just basically becoming upset and offended at literally anything that sounds anything like different than what they're saying. So that's it. I just think it's bullshit. The 76-year-old artist should be able to say and be able to produce art with a certain meaning without having to defend himself now that somebody has basically just taken it and said, oh, well, now we're going to make it into our own political statement. Screw you. If you try to argue with us, we're going to make you look like an asshole. So anyway, that's my piece. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to be back again soon. I don't know what the fuck the schedule is going to be. Today is Monday. It's April the 24th. I'm assuming we'll probably do this at least once a week, but we'll see. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'll have more guests back on the show next time. Have a good one. We're going to play another song here. This one's by Protocult from Toronto. It's called Grab Me a Beer, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now because it's beautiful and it's sunny outside. Have a good one, guys.
Such a beer, we're only here to drink. If you're down with the cold, then gather around and lift another mug. They tell you how to live, you never see the sun, and the seas have not quite risen, so raise another round. Give me a beer, dark and unclear. Get me a beer, dark beer, oi. Met a lass with an ice for mass. Pity if she's boring. Say she comes with a round in hand. Up it goes again. We welcome you to join us, drinking with the best. Gather around, everybody at once. Raise another round. Get me a beer, dark and unclear. Get me a beer, dark beer. The show, a protocol to draw. If you offer a round and pass it around, then they'll be your friends. Forgive me if I drink, the one can bring you down. One more chance to get enough pass, raise another round. Get me a beer, dark and unclear. Get me a beer, dark beer, oi.
Hello. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. For the first one,